Good morning, Richard.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How are you today?
Just excellent. I've been playing with Onshape all morning. It's been so fun. What a great morning to wake up and play with the new features that are just made available.
Yeah, and from some of the comments in the forums this morning, I understand you got up pretty early today.
Oh, not as early as maybe as early
Well,
as you.
When I got up this morning, you had already posted something in the forum, so I'm going to say you got up a whole lot earlier than I did.
Well, I was very excited.
Yeah, I'm still sitting here waiting for the sun to come up. We got about 15 minutes left or so, and the day will get started out here. But we've got a pretty exciting update to talk about today. I'm going to try to temper my enthusiasm for the first thing that we're going to show here, because I think I've mentioned it so many times how excited I am for PCB Studio.
Yeah.
That I'm going to try to remain calm today while we're talking about it. If you want to see me get really excited about it, make sure you watch next week's show. But
Indeed.
Hey, all right, we've got a guest with us already today. Good morning, Glenn. How are you?
Good morning, Glenn. Nice to see you on the chat today. We also have a bunch of people from the forums that had already made some great comments. Tim Rice, Driven Variables.
Yep. Danny P with one of my favorites. I love drawing updates, he says.
yeah. Drawing updates are the best for you, right? You always mention that.
Yep.
Eduardo always has some nice words. Eduardo Magdalena from C2I. He's actually a Onshape consultant and partner, sales partner in Spain. So.
Yep, I see him. He participates in the forums quite a bit. And very helpful for everybody.
Absolutely, he actually does a great job at posting the Spanish version of the What's New. So definitely check that out.
And speak of the angel, I believe he just joined us.
Ah, very good.
Hello, Eduardo. Fuzznuz. Wow, that's a new one on me. But welcome. And then we've got Offstring. Not sure who that is there. Sebastian's back joining us today. Welcome, Sebastian. And John Robinson. So we've got a lot of people joining us this morning. This is great.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of updates here to talk about. So I think we should probably just get right in.
I'm ready.
And do it. So let's add my screen to the stream here. And we're going to start. Actually, let me pull over another screen. We're going to go into my main enterprise account that I like to use for, let's see here. To sign in as my manager character here. There we are. So, what is new this time? I think we should start with what you were excited about.
I totally agree.
Yeah, totally. It's PCB Studio. Let's talk about what this is. How we should think about it. It's a tool that allows you to communicate between the circuit board design world and the mechanical design world, right? Think of it as like a Switzerland, where you can kind of be in a room together with your electrical guy and your mechanical guy and or girl or anybody, and you could have this place where you can figure out what components need to be more detailed, which components need to go to ECAD, where keep out areas, are defined. It's a very important tool, especially since everything's made of, there's not many products that don't have a circuit board in them nowadays, if you think about it.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, there's circuit boards everywhere.
I think one way to kind of look at this is in the overall look of in context design really is almost kind of what we're talking about a little bit here, in that you bring that data in from the ECAD system so that you can make sure that the boards fit. You can make sure that any connectors that have to pop out of enclosures are in the proper place. And so, having that ECAD data available while you're designing enclosures or the other parts around it, critical. I mean, it's really, really important. And PCB Studio fixes, takes care of that. So
yeah. So let's let's show you how it works. So I'm going to create a document. I'm going to call it the design. Lacking creativity at the moment. But here I am in a basic Onshape document here, but there's a new button here, Create PCB Studio. This is available only for professional and enterprise, just to make sure that's clear. Professional and the enterprise users will have this in their menus to use right away. So what will happen is it will create a new Studio tab inside of your Onshape document. There's a couple things you need to set up. If you haven't set it up yet, you'll see a message at the top of the screen telling you how to set it up. The setup involves just pointing it to a library document and a library folder where it's going to store all the circuit board parts, or the components, the transistors, the connectors, whatever you have attached to your circuit board, right? So all I did was create a blank Onshape document called PCB Studio Library, and if I click this, it would actually let me pick a different document to host.
And that's just like any other Onshape document, right?
Just a regular Onshape document. I created a blank Onshape document as the repository of the database, essentially, that will keep track of it. Onshape is keeping track of it. And this is something that's actually quite a big improvement over other circuit board kind of connector tools that are out there. If you think about it, lots of other CAD systems have the ability to import IDF from Altium, from Eagle, from pads, from all the different PCB design packages out there. But the issue is usually with the setup, the library has to be managed centrally and locally, typically on a file server at your company. And the moment you start working remote or sharing with collaborators, suppliers, the whole thing breaks down.
Yep.
Right. So with this, because it's an Onshape in the cloud, safe and secure, that issue will never happen. If you share a circuit board with somebody from Onshape, they're going to be able to see it, and they're not going to have any problems whatsoever.
One source of truth.
Exactly. So the first step is setting the library document, which is just the repository for the data store and of how everything works, and then a folder in your library. So I've created a folder in my Onshape account for a library, and then I have an electrical folder, whatever it might be. I could just point to it. Actually, let's go in to this tab right here. I'll show you my real library here. This is my library. And, I have libraries for other things too, cabinets, hydraulic parts, but I have an electronics folder, right? And that's where I have all of my components. You'll recognize some of them as being fully detailed and some that are just kind of blocky representations, right? And we'll get to that.
I have some opinions on that.
I know you do. You're a detail-oriented guy. So, I don't have to do anything with this now. It's already set up. That's a one-time thing the first time you set it up as a company administrator, by the way, right? So you have to be like a company administrator if you're in the professional or enterprise to make those changes, which makes sense, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But everybody in your company now automatically has these settings properly set too. So it's just make sure to check that. Even if you're an end user, just double check. But the next step is to bring in the data, right? So there's not many ECAD systems that are fully cloud based yet, like Onshape. So we still have to kind of deal with a file to bring in. There's future developments in this. There are some cloud-based ECAD tools that are getting started, so we can, count on getting better connectivity to cloud-based ones that will not rely on a file connection, which will be amazing.
Yeah.
We're still dealing with files because, that's where most of the systems are right now. So let's import an ECAD file. So we can choose any number of different file types here. Let's go to my desktop where I have some ECAD kind of import things. So here's an EMN and an EMP file. That's from pads. There's a library file and a board file, essentially. When you deal with pads, it's two files. We also support IDF, IDX, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But
if I recall correctly, I think IDF is still probably the most widely used.
Yeah, I think so. So if you're dealing with a pads file with two EMN and EMP, you just need to select both and then hit the import. So here we are, and notice how quick we're able to see a preview of the board, right? This is actually pretty fast if you've seen other systems that do this, and this is on Onshape's data stack, right? It's fully architected to take advantage of parallel performance and those kind of things with this. So what do we have here? Let's look at this. This is the board right here. And in fact, we can see a bill of materials right here. Let me just make this. This is my first official demo of this, so I'm really excited.
Nice.
Turn a perspective on here so it looks a little fancier. And you can see the bill of materials. The reference designator is right here, and you can sort by ref des. Right? And that's a common way of, I don't know if anybody's used any kind of ECAD system, you assign a unique reference designator to each type of component, right? So like here's a Samtech header right here, and that's an H4 Samtech TSW 110 7XS, right? So that's that. You notice it shows me a little symbol on top of it, a link symbol. So if the link is there, it's showing me it's linked to something that's already been imported in the library. So I've already imported this board ahead of this call. So that's why it's showing me that these parts are already in my Onshape library. So it's doing a check. Okay.
Nice. I get so nostalgic when you start talking about reference designators and
I know. I love it. I love it.
Somebody mentioned pass-through hole, and I'm going to just go nuts.
Plate board drilled holes. Oh my gosh. Little, what are those, Sam, or the, what are those spacers from that company? I can't remember now. The standoffs.
Yes. Yeah. DigiKey.
I'm gonna get my DigiKey catalog. I have to go do that. But anyway, the other tab, there's two tabs. There's a bill of materials tab, and then there's a component tab. So I've selected, on this Samtech connector here. This is a 106. Let's see what I have in my Onshape library actually first, because I know I have this 108 and this 110 that I've downloaded from the Samtech website, right? You can just go to most component suppliers and download the full 3D models, right? Instead of using the the blocky representation. And I think at the bare minimum, what you should consider is picking your interface components as the ones that you set. Like, here's our USB-C connector. I have this coaxial BNC style connector here, and that already populated here because it was already built in Onshape, and it remembered that.
And you can get down to just about any level of detail here, but like you say, the most critical things to fully detail out would be anything that might cause an interference, or and that could be any component, because you're designing a phone, for instance, and you want it to be as small as possible. You want to look at just about each and every component, and make sure nothing's getting in the way of anything else.
Exactly. So let's replace. So now that I'm on the component properties tab, I can go to the ECAD data, which is using now for this part that I've highlighted right here, and I can go to custom part instead. And it's a little hard to see, but if you hover over this, it says select custom part, and that's actually a button, and it will bring you right to your Onshape search, right? So I can go into my Onshape. Maybe I'll type in what is that, a TSW, right?
Yep.
There we are. And I can, notice how I have this TOS 108 in my library already, and it's released. So it works totally with the Onshape PDM capabilities, right? So I can say I want, this happens to be an assembly. It's released at Rev A. That's my internal part number. But you notice how quickly I was able to just go ahead, hit the check mark here, and then we'll replace what's happening now. Onshape is doing a preview for me. There's the actual component. Let's see what happened here. hiding. I'm not sure what's going on with with that, but let's try a different one. Custom part, TSW. And check mark. Interesting. I was just doing this earlier. See, this is what happens when you do a live demo, because you know, I have all these already set. But let's see what's happening. I'll keep on going. You notice how now I have some more buttons available. I have the ability to bring and create a brand new assembly, an Onshape assembly now from this data. Remember, this is just a viewer, like an interactive viewer that we're in. So I'll just hit the update. And here you can choose whether you want to bring in the board, the components, and any keep in and keep out areas that were defined in the ECAD system. They'll come in as sketches and curves in Onshape.
Nice.
So just,
which, by the way, that's also bidirectional, because in Onshape you can set up a keep out space and send that back to the IDF file.
That's right. That's right. It is a two-way street.
Yep. Jay showed us that.
Yeah. We should plug the next week's Innovators Insider podcast.
Oh, for sure. We had some. I mean, it's going to be a classic episode. There was a lot of engineering experience on that call with our guests, between Jay Tedeschi, journalist Jeff Rowe. Lots of folks know Jeff Rowe. He's been around for a long time. And what you called the Cupid of ECAD to MCAD collaboration, the creator of most of this, even going way back 20 years ago, Rob Lacey.
Yeah, Rob Lacey, legend in the ECAD, MCAD connectivity world.
Yep.
He created CircuitWorks, which is the tool in SolidWorks that we used to be a third-party add-in. Of course, SolidWorks bought the company and made it part of the packaging, and we did the same thing.
Yep. Yep. And it's great to see Rob's excitement about this too, because I mean, he's been working this kind of thing for like we say, nearly 20 years, and now he's got the absolute right platform to get this done properly and get this done correctly.
Yeah.
And that's the cloud. So.
Yeah. It's we have this, it's ready to go. You have a board, it's been built, and you see it actually did work. I actually got the connectors that I was asking for. So just something up with my weird preview. Maybe it's something with the stream blocking the graphics. I'll have to
could be
let the team know.
but it looks really good here, let me tell you.
Looks really good here, and of course, because it's here in a proper 3D CAD Parasolid based environment, you can do other things with it. Make drawings, put it into assemblies. You could render, obviously, fully detailed renderings. I know you're going to get into that. Right?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going to produce some renderings out of this.
Any kind of app in our app store, like if you're using simulation or anything like that, and you want to do a thermal analysis, you would be able to do that now. Lots of, technical documentation.
Yep.
Exploded views.
Assembly instructions.
Yep.
Disassembly instructions.
Exactly. Everything's there. So by having it in the MCAD tool, it gives you a lot more possibilities, and you can get the single BOM, right? Yeah, I think you mentioned that on the show last week there.
Yeah, and that's one thing that stands out to me, is because back in my designing days, I also happened to be the document control guy and the guy that built the bills of materials and the ERP systems. And so it was really, really critical to me to have everything perfect and to have it all, all in one top level bill of materials. And now that we can bring in all this ECAD data, we can do that in Onshape. So
exactly.
I don't know if we welcomed Michael to the show this morning. Hello, Michael. Glad to see you again.
Nice to see you. Is that a little circuit board? I can't quite see what that icon is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm one of those. I'm one of the older generation that I know what a smiley face icon looks like, but the rest of them I don't understand.
Hey, Onshape is perhaps one of the only CAD systems that really supports those icons, right?
Yep.
So if I were to start typing something in and put an icon in, it would just show up. Anyway.
So yeah, great stuff. PCB Studio. I love it. Can't wait to start working with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of documentation on this. Other things that you want to think about, you can go in two directions, right? So if you wanted to create, if you had your packaging and you want to design your board, an Onshape first, right? Let's say it was a really oddly shaped board that you would never want to draw in Altium or something like that. Not that this is oddly shaped, but you just give it your board thickness. Or it's really thin. Board and you can just label these sketches and features, board outline and things like that, so you can actually push this to PCB Studio as well. So definitely go through the video. Jay Tedeschi, product manager for the PCB Studio, has built a really nice video here that you can go through, and we're gonna have many more webinars and things in the fall, as we talk about this and training and all that. So,
And just a reminder about next week's show, Jay does go a little bit more in depth with some of his explanations as he's going through his demo. So make sure you catch that show next Thursday, the 9th.
Thursday the 9th. Yeah. Yeah. He goes through the whole thing. He even talks about, he shows Altium. He shows how the whole flow works. So I don't want to spoil that. All right, let's get into some more CAD stuff. How does that sound?
That sounds great. And you know what? I looked at this one and smiled because I think, Michael, certainly, and probably a lot of our listeners know, I am not real good at surfacing in CAD. And to me, this looks like one of those things that could make it a little bit easier for me.
Yeah.
So, I have a hard time with projected curves because, and it's not because I don't know how to work the tools. It's because I don't have that eye that I'm, that's necessary to find those projected curves. So by creating some geometry and using that geometry as the intersection curve, I think that's going to be a lot easier for me to start working a little bit more with some surfaces. So I was glad to see this one.
Great. Yeah, let's, you could certainly create geometry like we're going to show here. I'll actually pop open the document that Cody Armstrong was showing here earlier. Actually, I think I have it in my CAD environment. So let's do that. And I put a little link up at the top of the screen here, a QR code, just to be fancy. I just take a picture of that and you'll get the ability to make a copy of this document if you want to use it to test things out. So here we have like a Norelco kind of razor sort of looking thing, the PTC version. And, I want to create, I have this shape right here and I want to create maybe some kind of wireless charger instead of having like this old school, kind of plug-in charger. Maybe you want to have like some of those like magnetic chargers that you stick on the back. You see these on the toothbrushes and water picks and stuff nowadays where you have a water environment, right? So I have that shape, and maybe that's the shape of the charger that's going to hook up to it already. And I want to use that to create like a, an inset or something, a curve with a fillet, whatever it might be. And you could do this by, splitting faces, deleting tools. It would take several steps before, but now it's much simpler, right? So I just go in here. There's my intersection curve, and I can pick from the the two different pieces here. Let me just refresh this here.
You brought back more nostalgia here. Anytime I see one of those three-headed razors, I immediately think of Norelco and Burl Ives.
Burl Ives, was he the pitch man?
He was the guy that sung the song.
All right, we got that surface here. We got these surfaces here. Okay. All right, this is odd because I was just doing this earlier. So let's just take a copy of this. Just give me one moment.
Eduardo says PCB Studio looks great. I agree, Eduardo. It does.
Let's take a copy. Where's the copy? There it is. Okay. Come on, Razor. I just took a copy, so it's refreshing the cache and doing all the stuff. Come on. Oh, there it was.
There it was.
All right. Let's go to the part design folder here. There's a few things we'll be able to talk about here.
All right. Another guest joined us today, 6 Miles Tall. Good morning to you as well.
6 Miles Tall. Welcome. All right. You know what? Let's I had this happen the other day. Yeah, okay, there it is. All right, let's show it this way. Sorry, I can't show it to you on the Razor. All right, so I'm going to create a surface here. Right there, looks good. We're going to create a surface here. Something like this. That'll be a surface as well. We use our nice symmetric option.
Yeah.
All right, now we got the intersection. So we got 2 surfaces here. Got 1 surface here, 1 group. You can have multiple groups, by the way, but now we get a nice 2 curves that were generated from the 2 surfaces in this case because the way I'd set it up. So,
yep, very nice.
Yeah, looks pretty good. So we could do anything we need to do, with that intersection very quickly.
A lot of great improvements with the surfacing tools over the last couple of months.
Yeah, and we're not done.
Nope.
All right, what's next? Let's talk about driven variables, and I'll bring up the Cody's example because it'll be better than mine.
Yep. And this one's getting love in the forums today.
Yeah, this one is very nice. There's a lot of use cases for this, with imported parts or things that you just want to get a measurement of that you didn't have a variable or dimension of ahead of time. There's a number of good reasons for using the driven variables. There was a custom feature for this, but now this is like an official version. All right, so let's see. Let me just get rid of that QR code. All right. So let's watch Cody work with this. So he's going to create a variable in the normal way. And we're going to create a variable here on the fly and select a measurement. So we're actually creating a measurement. And of course, he measured from a wall to a circle. So, right now it's just a minimum distance, but you would be able to select from center or maximum.
Yep. I was just about to say, boy, I bet center's there underneath that little pull down. So.
Yeah. So he's created a variable that will update based on geometric changes, right? So he just made that change to 26 and you'll see what happens. And now we're, getting everything to work properly because of the variable. So, there's measured distances, length, diameter variables that you can create. So those are the 3 types that you can have. You can measure off of the axis as well. So there's a number of really interesting things that I bet our users are going to come up with with this that I haven't thought of.
Well, and I'd say, for people that are listening, keep up on the forum thread because, like you say, people are going to find some really unique and very cool uses for this, and they'll share them with you. So,
Yeah, and then this was actually, as Sebastian points out, the interns at Onshape. We had a show, an Innovators Insider podcast episode recently. Just go back to the archives. That we interviewed a bunch of the interns that worked for Onshape during the summer, and they do some really great work.
They do. Yep.
The system is set up in such a way that we can test, deploy, get stuff done very quickly in a short amount of time in an agile kind of way. So it's awesome to see these fresh ideas get worked on, and many kudos to the Onshape interns for helping put these features out.
Yep. And we're lucky we get to see a lot of those presented to us at at internal meetings, and the look on the interns' faces and the smiles and just the excitement that they have when they get to show their project off is just awesome.
It really is.
So Eduardo's been going through the change log.
Hold off on that one. We're gonna get to that one last. So because that one's kind of like an sort of unannounced one, but we're gonna talk about it here.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, there's always those folks out there that's what they do. I mean, they're not satisfied with the forum thread. They want to know everything. So they take a look at that the change log and
it shows everything. So I definitely encourage you to read the change log at the bottom of the forum post. It tells you, in great detail, what's going on. So, and especially things that might not be, flashy enough to show as a video or something like that, but this one was, once we added feature folders, the next request was, well, let's add more folders inside the folders, right? So, here's
we want to be even more organized now.
Yes. So, organized, right? And then, super organized. I gotta spell it. There we are.
I love spell check right there.
Oh yeah, spell check right in the browser.
Yep.
And Uber.
There we go.
And let's see if this works. If I make some kind of error. Yeah, it shows
that works.
Red. Yeah. So yeah, it's all good. Let's that error.
Very nice. Just a nice, little tool for people to become more organized, or organized however they want to be.
Exactly. Another great update here is if there are any limits on a particular mate, you will actually see a little icon next to it to let you know about that. So let's see. I think I might actually have something built. Let's see. Not that one. Maybe not. I'm roving between different accounts here. My apologies. Actually, this Pulse Aux has a limit in it. All right. So while that's coming up here, oh, there it is. It's already there.
Yep.
The Inch
How about
has
that?
a little icon on it because it has. It's a Revolut mate. I set limits on it to open 30 degrees, for this person's hand here.
Yep.
So as I, move it up and down, you see it's only moving a certain amount, right? So, makes it easy to understand which mates have that range of motion.
Sweet.
Yep. Let's turn off that banner. All right. How about some drawing stuff, Richard?
Hey, let's look at some drawing stuff.
All right. Let's go to the drawing of this. Actually, I'll do the top clip called a component drawing, because the first item up for improvement here. Let's make some drawing views here. I have a detail view here. I'm gonna just make a new one on the fly here to kind of call this out. But instead of it being a circle, maybe I want it to be some other kind of shape, right? So, here I go to detail view, and now I can either just draw a spline in, which I kind of like doing it this way.
That's always been my preferred.
Yeah, and now you get this nice, similar shape on the other side. You get a nice line font. This shows beautifully too. I think.
Look at that! Yeah, that's nice.
Thick. I mean, look at this.
Wow.
I've never seen a CAD system do that.
I have not either. That's pretty awesome right there.
Yeah. Let's see how it works with. Let's see if this can be edited. Probably not. Let's see. Yeah, I probably need to change the. Oh, look at that! You can actually change it.
Nice.
Spline
It
points.
works just like a spline. Yep.
Yeah, so it's makes sense. You know, you might need that line in there for a dimension or something, and you need to, call that out against something else, right? So it's pretty easy to work with that. And let's use the polygon style here as well, just to say we did.
Yep. Yeah, because it's there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, there we are. And this should work the same way if I wanted to drag that in. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and move the designator around too. Let's see how that works.
Oh, that's
that is so cool.
I don't know why that just makes
I agree with you. There's just something about that particular thing that just it makes you kind of giddy.
Yeah, I like it. That's great. So let's see. We got a few more comments here. Oh, got Manuel Torres here. So thanks for coming to the show. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
And I'm glad to see stuff like this. I follow a lot of teachers on Twitter. We have a lot of EDU customers, and so I've been privileged to get to see a lot of the projects that these students are working on, and they're just amazing. They're just great, and their kids are having fun, and they're learning at the same time. So
yeah. And well, on the assemblies question, definitely let us know. Reach out, or obviously the Learning Center has some good stuff on assemblies. It's a little different than other CAD systems with the way the assemblies get put together. So sometimes that's a thing to kind of, you got to unlearn the old and learn the new. But,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I struggled with that at first, but it was very different from what I was used to when I came from my other CAD system to Onshape. So, Manuel, you'll get there. And once you do, it's like that light bulb all of a sudden goes off. It's like, whoa, okay, I get it now. So,
yeah. And thanks again, 6 Miles Tall. Yeah. All right. So what's next? What is next? We have, this is my personal favorite, and it's because I have a few customers that needed this. So, oh geez, I got hands all over the place. This is scary. Oh my God. Let's turn that hand off and refresh my drawing here. That's just
speaking of, I saw, there's somebody posted a really nice hand model in the forums. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, but
oh, it's just hidden. I should just suppress it. I could have set that as a named view or whatever, but all right. So new is overriding the BOM value, right? So there are some companies that require, instead of it following the assembly order, right? That's essentially, here's the BOM in the assembly, flattened structured BOM. I have item number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It actually follows this, right? So if I were to put this down here at the bottom, that's going to show up in the BOM, right? At the bottom, serial cable. But there are some companies that, want to just override the name or, point to a specification. If you had an item in the BOM and you wanted to point to a something like a piece of documentation, see attached or whatever, that's one reason. Another reason is to actually override the item number itself, because you have a certain kind of way of describing it. So instead of it being, 1, it may be like 10, right? And then this is 20. So you can just override it here. And of course, it's updating, on the balloon that I have here. So
I'm always glad to see these kinds of things, these changes, especially because it impacts customers, but they still make me cringe.
I mean, this one's very important though, because
Yeah.
in Germany, there's machine design companies that they must have a unique item number
Mm.
that's like to a specification for a
Yep.
certain reason, right? So this enables that capability now, and you can have any item number you want. I'm with you on on overriding names and stuff. That's
Yep.
scary for me, but there are reasons why it has to be done. So.
Sure. Yeah, and like I say, I love that that we can make this happen for our customers. So
Yeah.
regardless about how I feel personally about it.
There are some learning center improvements based on all the new stuff that's been added over the summer. The learning center has caught up to all of those things, so you don't have to wait a full year to get a new course. It's a matter of weeks to get updates to our courses when we add new pieces of functionality. So that way, as you onboard new employees, they're not kind of left with old training, right? As they go through the training courses. But there is one final thing that we added here. Let me just stop sharing my screen because I just want to make sure I protect any sensitive data. I'm going to sign out and sign in as my internal kind of production account.
And welcome to Nilsson Diaz, who's joining us from Colombia. Oh, and I missed Anand Sharma. No, we can't design the whole PCB. This is an ECAD to MCAD connector product, and you'll still need ECAD software, ECAD programs to actually design your printed circuit boards.
Correct. All right, just one more second.
And Eduardo has a customer. He says, that will really benefit from the ability to customer, to override the BOM value. So
yeah, I had a number of people that require it, that they can't use Onshape without it, right? So, all right, so the special announcement is Render Studio Advanced.
Hey.
So we introduced Render Studio Beta, 6 months ago or so now, I think, right? It was late, it was early spring, I think. And it's received wide praise and attention.
It's had some improvements along the way as well. So
it's definitely had improvements. We're not done yet. It's still quote unquote beta. And the reason is because we want it to have the full Onshape kind of data experience. Like right now, you kind of have this like place. Well, I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, you kind of have to import it into another space. Where is it? Oh, I gotta just add it to the stream. There we are. Like you had to like open another studio, and there was a place to kind of manage all the scenes and things like that. But one of the things that was a limitation that people, if you want to like make really high quality documentation that's going to go on a billboard or a poster, marketing graphics, you want the sharpest image possible. It's not something that every single person in the world needs, because if you're just making something for screen graphics, we actually output to a maximum of 2.1 megapixels, which is HD resolution, 1920 by 1080 resolution, and that was the limit. But now, if you need more, if you're like a specialist in rendering and marketing, and you need like a 100 megapixel 8K rendering, you would be able to upgrade the Render Studio so that it will allow you to export to those higher end formats. Think of it as like the difference between like a Sony A6000 camera, which is like a $600 camera, has a great sensor, between like an A7 III or IV, I've had both of these cameras. They both have the same type of sensor, but one allows for like 25 megapixels and one allows for 12, right? And you have the higher end camera for higher resolution images for higher end needs, right? So that's what this is. So it costs a lot more money to produce those kind of things on our stack, which is why we would need to charge a little extra, for having an add-on, right, to upgrade to the Render Studio. So if you need that, you hit that button and you can, work with your account executives to get that added to your account. So that's the big thing there. So I have an image. Let me just pause my screen here. I've built a few images ahead of time. I'll just pull those out so we have them.
And then just asking when we can expect the piping routing solution in Onshape. I don't know. I don't know if Michael knows. Certainly that's something that we always consider. But Anand, have you seen the new feature script that was written by Neil Cook? I can put that URL in the chat for you there.
Yeah, that's it's definitely the routing tool. Neil Cook wrote it. It's for electrical routing, and it works off of from two lists, so you can like export from a schematic tool like AutoCAD Electrical, SolidWorks Electrical. Onshape has an electrical tool in the App Store called ElectroCloud to do your schematics, and you can export a netlist from that and use that as the basis for routing all of your wiring in Onshape natively. And it does a great job, and it gives you the wire lengths and everything. So definitely look at that. It's for piping, orthographic piping or orthogonal piping. That's something that we would not be able to do right now with any kind of custom feature. But we do understand that the more people ask for it, the better chances we'll get it in there.
That's right.
I'm having an issue trying to find. Oh, I'm in the wrong account. Hold on 1 second, and I'll share my screen again. Any other comments there for us to look at?
No, I think we picked them all up here. I do want to thank everybody for joining us. We really appreciate having you here, and we love interacting with you in the chat. Don't forget about next week's show. You can learn a lot more about PCB Studio from some of the guys that created it and worked on it for these many months. So
exactly. All right, I think I'm here now. Oh, no, I'm not. Totally thought I had that. That's unfortunate. Well, let's see. Let's just do this. I'm not gonna be able to show it. I don't have it ready.
The dangers of trying to live.
Yeah.
Things happen. Yep. Hey, Sebastian, welcome. John. Yep. Thanks everybody. Anand, I sent that URL. It's right there in the comments. If you look for custom feature cable wire routing, you'll find that. And since I saw a hand model earlier, I went ahead and threw that URL up there too. If you want to take a look at that, that was posted in the forums.
You have one picture that I can at least show you with an image. Essentially the crispness, like, if you look at, here we are. I'll just download this image or move it over here to this other screen. It's like, this is a rendering of a game controller, like zoomed way in. See that like circle? That's like the logo of like an Xbox style controller. So you can see how far zoomed in I am on this. And you can see the crispness of the text that was on there. So essentially with the basic rendering at 2.1 megapixels, you wouldn't even be able to read this if you were zoomed out. But it's crystal clear. You know, when you're zoomed extremely far in microscopically, it's that's 100 megapixel image versus a 2.1 megapixel, which would be you wouldn't be able to read it. It just wouldn't be legible at all. So that's really the difference. So for people that need that level of rendering resolution, which is a huge file,
yeah,
because it's an image that's 100 megapixels, right? But sometimes you need that. So,
yep. But thanks to cloud computing, you're not going to have to spend 2 weeks to generate that image.
Totally.
Well, we had a lot of fun here today. I did manage to at least, calm down a little bit my excitement over PCB Studio. But as soon as we're done here, I'm heading over to cad.onshape.com, and I'm going to start looking at some PCBs, and I'm going to start doing some rendering. So,
all right.
I'm excited about it. And thanks to everybody that joined us today. Ron, thanks for helping out with pushing along some of those URLs so that everybody can see them. And like I said before, don't forget about next week's show. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button for us. Michael, any final thoughts?
Go forth and have fun with Onshape.
All right. So long, everybody.
See you later.